view.
In
his view.
Yeah. Well, okay, right.
Not in his view.
In my view,
Maybe
well, I'm
not
not
in
so
our
sure.
view.
I'm right. Well, okay. Okay. Do you want me to leave now? Right. So, no. What I'm saying to you is this: here, the goal should have been disallowed. It's to me, it's an obvious foul. It's an obvious foul for a start. So
it wasn't, Martin. So it's a very subjective decision, and that's the end of the discussion.
Right.
You think absolutely. Other football minds think not.
Let's get back to the rant.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's come in a couple of minutes
Yours and
afterwards.
Arteta's.
I'm talking about Arteta. Arteta's come in and he has vocalized his viewpoint on the goal. Where I think he should probably have stayed with that there. Instead, as Simon's made the point about going all around Europe and saying that the refereeing standards is much better. I think if he'd stayed with that point, because the next question, if I'm an interviewer, I might ask him then. Next question: what happened about Havertz? You might have been sent off the field. I might have done that. He's an interviewer or something like this, or I'd thought about that point. But it doesn't really matter.
Sent off just in the passage.
I think he's extremely lucky to stay in the team. Extremely lucky to stay in the team. Well, he's extremely lucky to stay in the team, which is probably the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So
as by the way, should Camero's as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You made a point earlier, son, about if the people would stop diving, and I'm absolutely with you. I'm with you in many aspects about players holding on to the faces when they haven't even been touched. Now, absolutely, and it's getting to a desperate state. But I have to say, I do feel for the Wolves manager who, to me, it was never
in that instance. So do I in that isolated instance.
Yes.
Then what I do is I track it back. I join the dots going backwards and go, how have we got to a position where these decisions are being made that ultimately kid a referee? And you'll say we need more. Perhaps you'll say we need more education to the refereeing. We need more experience. We maybe need players in the dugout. In Stockley Park. But the bottom line is if we wind it all the way back and say, if we had stopped this culture of simulation, there wouldn't be this 10 minutes being laid onto every single game or time wasting. If we'd stopped the culture of simulation, we wouldn't be having referees having to read the mind of players, because ultimately they are in a situation where there is such an element of subjectivity about did he touch him or didn't he touch him? Was there enough force in that touch to be able to make that player go over? And the problem is that the fabric of the game has been eroded by it. And then you've got Arteta pushing the envelope, right? Because it's not just a case of going after the decision. He's gone after the whole kit and caboodle because people think they can. They think they can say what they want, when they want, how they want, and get away with it. And what's happening now is that the officials are trying to correct the game. And now there's a balance of power going on in the battle about who runs the games. Because you've seen the observation being made by other managers about referees and what they think they're entitled to. Pep Guardiola saying they need to be more humble. It's all going on under the surface, alongside some decisions that do need to be questioned, like decisions about football managers' decision-making process need to be questioned and are questioned. The problem is that you are always going to end up in an area of subjectivity, and I don't think, even despite your far greater knowledge than me, that the science is settled, for want of use of an expression that used regularly around the world, on whether that goal is universally accepted as being disallowed or allowed. And interestingly, Carragher made a really interesting point, because one of the observations about VAR was it was a goal disallowing system. And it was people were saying it's one of the things it does is disallow so many goals. All of a sudden, that's being turned on its head now.
You see, man, I would have thought he'd fall into the line of thinking with Gary Neville. He says, when I look back now, when he was playing, I don't think as players we always covered ourselves in glory with referees. And also at a big club, we all feel entitled. And you have to leave and retire to be able to see that. That's exactly what you're saying, isn't it? When you look back at it, you think, I've done that. I had an outburst after the game.
Of course.
I've done that. I piled right in.
Manchester United players used to run after the referee when he gave a decision against them all the time. You know, they were there en bloc, en masse. So I'm getting back to the point. You asked me a question a way back about 20 odd minutes ago. Was I in agreement with the rant of Arteta?
Right.
Given those moments after the game, given what I saw, and given what I assume that he saw himself, I thought he was right to do so. Or I sympathise with him. I empathise with him in that particular instance.
Okay.
He took it into a more general point, which I didn't agree with. But that's getting back to
Should he be punished? As a former manager, should this current manager be punished?
I personally speaking, if I'm if you're the FA, why? What's he going to be punished for? Because he's he's, what shall I say, he has talked about the situation as far as he was concerned. Now, what did
Do you think there's a line, Martin?
Pardon?
Do you think there's a line? Because I'm all for freedom of speech, right? But there comes a situation where ultimately there's an authority, like a manager's an authority,
Yeah.
right? You don't run a democracy with your players. You run an autocracy.
Yeah.
You don't involve them in team selection, right? So the referees have made a decision. Do you not think? Again, I don't think that the referee should be excused from any blame, right? But do you not think that there is a line that a manager can go up to?
I do agree.
And he's gone over that line, hasn't he?
I do. No,
So
I
you
agree
think
with
he's
this here.
crossed it,
But no, so how has he crossed it, Simon? Tell me how he's
Because
crossed
he's
it.
taken it beyond an individual observation and he's broadened it out to the whole entire state of English refereeing,
Right.
and the PGMOL's inefficiency, the disgrace that is our league,
Yeah.
the lack of standards, the lack of consistency, the comparison to other leagues around the world. He's basically dumped on a great height on the fact that everything about British refereeing right now is of a substandard.
Yeah.
And that's a bit too broad.
He's embarrassed.
that
This
is true.
disgrace. He feels
He
sick.
shouldn't. Yeah, he shouldn't have done that. We're talking about widening the whole.
So he's crossed the line with the language he used.
He has, hasn't he? In isolation.
Well, has he?
In isolation.
It's a disgrace. It's embarrassing.
You're right.
I
True.
feel sick.
100%.
This is what he's saying.
But that's superlative.
Yeah, but that's
superlative. He's entitled to further
that,
weight.
absolutely. He is again. He's gonna, and I'm quite sure if I was managing Arsenal and that had happened there, I would have said exactly the same thing.
Would you not be
That's the
surprised, Martin, that he's punished?
Would he not? Well, again, I'm getting back to the point. Simon's mentioned that they're crossing the line, and you finally got me probably to admit that he's maybe overstepped the mark. What sort of punishment you're going to say? Because let me put it this way, and it's just a side issue. We put a man in the moon in 1969, and we can't draw some straight lines now at this minute. So I don't know where we're going. VAR's got to. It's got to be questioned.
Yes, he should be consequenced. Given the nature, if he's probably not going to be banned, he's going to be a financial consequence. And given Arsenal's doubling down the sport, they're going to pay it for him anyway. So it's not going to be much of a consequence. But you cannot have a manager, with all due respect, all emotion priced into the equation. Everyone knows the price on the ticket. They all know what's coming. They know their rage and their infuriation and all that kind of stuff. You cannot go where he's gone. You can turn around and say that you're very disappointed and that ultimately there's an element of you that probably thinks they should keep their own counsel. Right? And you make your official complaint and you do what you've done. That's playing to a gallery. That's going over the line. And it's not because I have any particular bias towards Arteta, because I think that the energy that he brings to that football club is the reasons why they're moving through the gears now.
Yeah.
So you can't
Well,
neutralize.
gears. They won nothing for 3
But I think
years.
he's crossed the line. Yeah.
But
Having
moving
said
for
all
the
that, if it
gears.
was
They
your
won
manager,
fuck
you
all.
quietly back him.
Should've kept-
I wouldn't go out with a statement and ask
Should
you.
have kept
I've gone out
everything.
with. If I was asked, if someone knocked on my door and said, "You as the Arsenal chairman, owner, what do you think to that?" I'm with my manager on this. I think it was a very poor decision, and I think that ultimately I support him and the bulk of what he said. I don't think I'd have gone doubling down as a football club going, "We're not interested in retrospective."
You wouldn't have
analysis.
included a line
We're
in
not
your
interested
statement.
in apologies. They've gone over the line as well.
Yeah, you
Right.
wouldn't include the line in your statement, Martin. Arsenal Football Club wholeheartedly supports Mikel Arteta's post-match comments after yet more
They're wrong.
unacceptable refereeing
They're
and VAR errors. We also like to acknowledge the huge effort and performance from our players and travelling fans at St James's Park.
It's essentially
What the fans going to do with it?
What I know,
Because they're a club.
Yeah,
Everyone's together.
yeah,
what Arteta's done.
that's it.
They've galvanised. They're all
Exactly.
together.
Exactly.
Not for me.
So we've got Arteta, another manager, coming out and hitting out big time at VAR. Hitting out in the sense of it's embarrassing, it's a disgrace, I feel sick. And then the football club backs him up. Where are we at with all of this? Any sensible thoughts on that? 03717 223344